All right, thank you, Rico, and thank you, Jen. That was awesome. And just to continue that last question, there's very rarely are well, your ERP is your system of record. It's very rare that a business process only fully resides in one system. That really depends on the evolution of your business and the evolution of the process. But as you evolve, you'll have new systems. The process will cross boundaries, and that's where the automation and integration outside of just one system come into play. But this is going to be our wrap-up session. I really appreciate everyone that's attended so far. And let's just talk about kind of next steps. Where do you go from here? So just to recap a little bit what we've seen so far today. Hans and Shelley gave us a fantastic perspective from Slalom's expert opinion on how to leverage a customer experience as a competitive advantage. And that really teed us up perfectly for taking a look at the concept of well, what does that look like for an e-commerce company? You have all these systems, you have multiple processes. So we took a look at the e-commerce tech landscape, and key takeaway there is to make sure that we're looking, we're not looking at, you're not thinking about it as a fractured set of systems and processes and people, but endeavoring with the goal of one system across everything. It's your one business system altogether is the goal. So from there, we took a look at preparation for how to prepare for starting out that automation journey, and then talk to some of the Celigo customers between Mike, Jeff, and Melissa on how they were actually able to achieve some of this. And I think a big takeaway here is that it's never just a finish line. It's continuous evolution and process. And then finally, Jan showed us how to really get down in the nuts and bolts, the meat of that automation process, and going to that. What does that look like to actually build those out? And from here, I'd like to kind of leave everyone with a couple things that we'll go through here quickly over the next few minutes. And that's one, how to build a business case for this, and make some decisions around what automation steps to pursue. And then we'll just briefly touch on some tools that we will be providing you as attendees to help you on this journey. Steps to building a business case here. And the first one here is, you can see, define business goals. And what about a theme maybe through this entire thing? We see all of us as speakers touching back on this so many times. It's because this is such a simple concept, but it has more impact on the success of a digital transformation and automation initiative than almost anything else. Is to put that focus into your business goals. I've personally been part of hundreds of digital transformation projects, and when things don't go as planned, you trace it back and you do an analysis, and often almost always comes back to goal misalignment, not understanding, not being clear, having and it comes down and having everyone. And so really we've emphasized it, and we just can't emphasize it enough, that it will, no matter how big this process is for you, your automation journey, where you're starting, whether it's just one person, or you're in a huge organization and you have an entire IT team, and you're entering a new phase of digital transformation. It all comes down to defining those business goals and making sure everyone's very clear on that. The second one here is identifying candidate pipeline for business process automation, and we'll dive into that a little bit to talk about what that means here. So by that, it means getting together, let's just call it your funnel of things to automate. Any business, once you get in the habit of looking at automation, especially once you get some momentum and maybe a single department hopefully you've been able to take a federated approach. You're seeing these gains both centrally, but also across multiple departments. Soon, everyone's going to see what this has done within an organization. They're going to want to take part in the automation journey as well. And when that happens, you'll have a plethora of things to choose from it. But at first, it takes a little bit sometimes to look at and pick the right things, because often what is the most painful is maybe not the right thing to start with. So it helps to go fast, to slow down a little bit and make sure that you take a smooth approach. And you don't have to map everything across the entire organization. You pick one area, but starting out to map out your e-commerce processes and list those applications out there. And whether you're doing you're able to get together in person again, and it's on a whiteboard, or it's on a sheet of paper, or it's done virtually, it's very key to just start that process. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be perfect. And as soon as you map that out, whether it's your processes or your systems, it's going to change. But the key is you start somewhere, and just going through that exercise, the act of going through that and getting understanding within your team, the teams that you work with, will provide tremendous insight, and that forces you to look at processes, and that makes for a much smoother journey, implementation, and rollout of these. Is when you have a really clearly defined steps and good, excellent process definition. As you go through and look at those, you'll naturally start to see things as you break that down where you have bottlenecks. You've got bottlenecks, slowdowns, where human intervention comes into play. So identify those, tag those. Those are areas of interest and very likely places to start. And then also make sure you're identifying where you have critical data. These often, you think of mission critical transactional data. It must be 100% accurate and timely. Maybe it's integration to often impacting customer experience very directly and obvious with financial impact. Identify those, and then look and see, okay, well, are you achieving 100%? Are you achieving 99%? And the answer is no. These are very likely ones that you'll want to start with and focus on. And then from there, you'll want to go through and articulate the business outcomes. And this slide's is really out here as an example of something that we've seen put together, that we've used with our own customers through this process. And in breakdown for the area that you're working with, the financial impact, the process impact, the customer and the people, and the business outcomes that you're looking to achieve through your automation initiative. And doing that's going to really help rally the support resources and impact prioritization. And that leads us to one of the last areas, which is around determining business outcomes, ROI. This is another one where we'll actually have some leave behinds for you to take a look at some examples. But as you've defined these candidates, determined business outcomes, apply some ROI thinking to it on where that return is. And literally sometimes just a back of the napkin calculation can go a long way. And then that leaves you finally to determining where you're at as far as prioritization. And once you look at your candidate processes for automation, you look at the business outcomes, ROI automation, it often is very clear where you need to start. But sometimes if you're new in your journey, your team doesn't have a lot of experience with this, sometimes you just need to start a little small. Think of it as an automation pilot. So it can be really good to not pick off the big, hairy, absolutely critical thing, but just pick off, people refer to it as the low-hanging fruit, something but it will get the momentum, get things moving forward, and help you iron out these processes and get that movement forward. And it's always better to start automating small things than it is to wait until everything's perfect to do the big stuff. And you can learn by taking smaller initiatives that are maybe not in the core critical, mission critical applications of the business. When we move on from that, remember you're going to have an evolving tech landscape as an e-commerce company. It's going to get complex, but the goal and the vision should be for that one system. You want synergy among your people, processes, and your system, those applications, and that's what automation and leveraging iPaaS will get you. And really, you can start anywhere. You start holistically. You can start in one business process, one domain, and then move across and have tremendous impacts on your organization. A couple things that we'll leave behind for you are some tools that you'll receive as attendees. So some of these diagrams and charts you can take back and leverage within your own business. Use these as examples of how to map out your own flows, how to identify where data should be flowing, where you're having problems. Leave with you a few things here about calculating the cost of current process impact. And use these to help actually sell your project internally and gain support for your automation initiatives. And again, once you take a look at where you have inefficiencies, where you're essentially losing money, but also where it can be gained, you really have, once you start looking at that, you really have no choice, but you'll realize you have no choice but to automate. And you'll see the benefits of an automation first approach and how that's foundationally transformational for a business. And with that, really wrap up unless we have a couple final questions here. Rico?
I think we do, but we're going to have to follow up afterwards because we're on time. So I wanted to thank everybody who joined us. This was an amazing attendance and there a lot of engagement with questions. We will follow up with raffle results afterwards with the questions and with these handouts that everyone presented. So thank you everybody for joining us from around the world. Thank you to all the presenters, and we look forward to continuing the conversation in the future. So best of luck, everyone.
Thank you very much. Good luck.